In this age, when you lose someone you love, the world stops. You lower the lights, speak in hushed tones, and gather in a quiet room filled with flowers and soft music. You don't question why you do this, because it feels like the most natural, human thing in the world. But for 99.9% of human history, the way we handled death wasn't just an emotional response. It was a brutal, terrifying, and deeply weird battle for survival. When an ancient ancestor stopped breathing, the world didn't go quiet. It got dangerous. If you go back 200,000 years to the Pleistocene epoch, a corpse wasn't a peaceful symbol of a life well lived. It was a ticking biological clock. A dead body rapidly decays, releasing volatile organic compounds like putrescine and cadaverine. To apex predators, saber-toothed cats, cave hyenas, and dire wolves, that scent wasn't a tragedy. It was a dinner bell. Leaving a deceased tribe member in the open air meant bringing every killer within 10 miles directly to your cave entrance. So what did your ancestors actually do? For decades, mainstream science insisted that our earliest ancestors simply abandoned the dead, running away as fast as possible to escape the predators that inevitably followed. But recent archaeological discoveries tell a far stranger, far more haunting story. In 2013, deep inside the Rising Star Cave system in South Africa, paleoanthropologist Dr. Lee Berger and his team made a discovery that completely shattered our understanding of early hominins. Navigating through a pitch-black passage just 7 inches wide, a squeeze so narrow that only a specialized crew of thin archaeologists could pass, they discovered thousands of fossilized bones. They belonged to Homo naledi, a tiny-brained hominin species that lived over 200,000 years ago. When scientists examined the bones, they were stunned. There were no animal gnaw marks anywhere on the skeletons. There were no signs of flood wash or predator dragging. The bodies had been intentionally carried deep into the total darkness of the underground cave system and systematically deposited there. Think about what that means. This wasn't simple waste management. To bring a body into that chamber required navigating complex, dangerous subterranean passages using controlled fire for torches, carrying the dead to a designated, protected resting place, long before modern humans with large brains even walked the earth. As Homo sapiens emerged, our treatment of the dead didn't become simpler. It became vastly more complex and strange. Consider the famous site of Atapuerca in northern Spain, dating back over 400,000 years. Deep inside a limestone cave system at a location called Cima de los Huesos, or the Pit of Bones, researchers uncovered a 40-foot vertical shaft filled with the fossilized remains of ancient hominins. Among those bones, archaeologists found something extraordinary: a single, pristine hand axe carved from rare red quartzite nicknamed Excalibur. No other tools were found in the entire shaft. It is the earliest known evidence of a symbolic grave good in the human record. It suggests that even before we were fully modern, we believed the dead needed something to take with them into the dark. Why did this happen? What pushed our early ancestors to risk their lives crawling into dark caves or carrying heavy stone tools to bury a body that could no longer help the tribe? Evolutionary psychologists like Dr. Jesse Bering argue that death created a massive cognitive glitch in the early human brain. Your brain evolved as a high-powered social predictor. Its primary job was to track relationships, predict the intentions of group members, and maintain social bonds. When a person died, their physical body remained right in front of the tribe, but their agency suddenly vanished. The human mind simply couldn't process the instant deletion of a personality it had relied on for years. Your brain kept generating thoughts about the person. What are they thinking? What do they need? Are they cold? To resolve this overwhelming mental dissonance, early humans began treating the corpse as if the person were still inside it, someone who still needed shelter, tools, and protection from scavengers. This cognitive glitch drove our ancestors to perform extreme, intricate rituals. In Paleolithic Europe, around 30,000 years ago, Burial sites like Sunghir in Russia reveal individuals buried in breathtaking fashion. One grave contained two young children buried head-to-head, wearing elaborate clothing covered with over 10,000 meticulously carved mammoth ivory beads, wearing bracelets, and holding ivory spears. Furthermore, the bodies were heavily dusted with red ochre, a natural iron oxide pigment ground into a fine powder. Archaeologists have found red ochre in prehistoric graves all across the world, from Africa to Australia to Europe. Why red? Because red was the universal color of life-giving blood. When a human body lost its warmth and vitality, rubbing it with red ochre was a desperate, symbolic attempt to restore the life force that had visibly drained away. Do you ever notice how you feel an instinctual, sudden spike of anxiety when you walk past an abandoned building in the dark? Or how an unmoving silhouette in a shadowy room makes your heart skip a beat? That is a micro-empathy reaction, a physical echo hardwired into your body over thousands of generations. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for subtle signs of life. When it encounters something that looks human but remains completely motionless, your brain enters a state of high alert. Because in the ancient world, static human bodies meant one of two things. A deadly pathogen was present, or a silent predator was waiting in the shadows. Not all ancient humans buried their dead in the soft earth, however. In many regions of the world, the ground was frozen solid or made of impenetrable rock, making digging impossible. This environmental barrier led to practices that sound deeply horrifying to modern ears, such as defleshing and secondary burial. At prehistoric sites across Europe, such as Goes Cave in Somerset, England, archaeologists led by Dr. Sylvia Bello discovered human bones dating back 15,000 years that showed clear, deliberate cut marks made by stone tools. The flesh had been carefully scraped from the bones, and in some cases, consumed in formal rituals of endocannibalism. To a modern viewer, consuming the dead sounds like the ultimate act of horror. But to your ancient ancestors, it served a profound dual purpose. Practical survival meant preventing a decaying corpse from attracting giant cave bears or wolves to the settlement. Symbolic belief meant keeping the life force, memory, and strength of a beloved family member inside the living tribe, rather than abandoning their flesh to rot in the mud. Once the flesh was removed, the remaining clean bones were painted, bundled, and kept as sacred relics or buried in tribal bone pits. To your ancestors, leaving a body whole in the open air was the ultimate act of disrespect, neglect, and biological danger. Every time you look in the mirror, you are looking at the survivor of these exact horrors. You might wonder why human beings are the only creatures on Earth that write obituaries, build monuments, and tell stories about those who came before us. The answer lies in the uncanny valley effect. Have you ever wondered why human-like robots, wax figures, or pale, motionless human forms trigger an immediate, visceral fight-or-flight reaction in your chest? That disturbing feeling is an evolutionary scar left behind by millions of years of dealing with the dead. Your brain is hardwired to detect decay, biological hazard, and neural death. A corpse represents pathogen exposure and the immediate threat of hidden predators. The fear you feel when staring into the dark isn't an irrational flaw. It is the literal survival instinct of an ancient ancestor standing guard over a body inside a cold cave, terrified of what might crawl out from the darkness. Over tens of thousands of years, these primal survival mechanisms slowly transformed into human culture. We moved from dropping bodies into dark cave shafts to protect ourselves from hyenas, to constructing massive stone cairns, megalithic passage tombs like Newgrain, and eventually the colossal pyramids of Egypt. We invented mourning songs, wear black clothing, and build cemeteries, all to build a psychological bridge over the impossible chasm between the living and the dead. Notice your breathing right now. Feel the warmth of your own skin and the steady rhythm of your pulse. In this exact second, your body is doing what billions of your ancestors fought to protect. Tonight, when you turn off your lights and slide under the covers, your room is completely safe. No apex predators are tracking the scent of decay down your hallway. No cold cave walls are pressing in on you. But deep inside your cellular memory, the ancient instinct remains. You still honor the dead, you still gather together in the dark, and you still feel that sudden, cold shiver when a room goes silent. Because for 2 million years, respecting the dead was the only thing keeping you alive. Made it to the end. Thank you, legend. Hit like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If got a video idea, please comment below and we might just make it. That's a wrap. See you in the next one.